I want to talk about my mornings, because just a few years ago, they were an absolute train wreck. I'm talking hitting the snooze button 5, maybe 6 times, and then, before I was even really awake, my hand would find my phone. Social media, work emails, notifications. I mean, before my feet had even touched the floor, I already felt like I was losing the day. I was stressed, I was anxious, it was a terrible way to live.
And that feeling, that's the whole thing right there. I was constantly playing defense, just reacting to whatever the world decided to throw at me. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be like that? This isn't about some crazy 4 a.m. ice bath routine you see online. This is just about how I stopped destroying the first hour of my day and how that one small change, slowly but surely, changed absolutely everything for me.
So, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the problem, what I call the morning chaos trap. Then, we'll get into the solution, protecting the first hour. After that, I'll walk you through the 3 simple steps to clarity that I use, the one golden rule that really holds it all together, and finally, how you can take these ideas and design your own day, starting tomorrow.
Right. So, for the longest time, I just beat myself up. I thought I was lazy, or that I just didn't have any discipline. But it turns out the real problem wasn't me. It was the chaos. Every single morning, I'd wake up and immediately start consuming things. Other people's messages, other people's news, other people's problems. I was basically letting the entire world set the agenda for my day before I even had a chance to think for myself.
This really breaks it down, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the chaos morning. That's the snooze button, grabbing your phone first thing, reacting to everything, and that just leads to stress. And on the other side, you have the intention morning, waking up calm, no phone, choosing your focus, and that leads to a feeling of control. And for years, I was living 100% in that first column. And here's something that took me a long time to really understand. That first half hour when you wake up, that's when your brain is the most suggestible. It's kind of like soft clay. Whatever you pour into your mind in that moment, whether it's the anxiety from a work email or just the quiet of your own thoughts, that's what sets the emotional default for the rest of your day. Okay, so this is where it all started to turn around for me. And it wasn't some complex new habit. It was actually just one simple, powerful decision. I decided I was going to protect the first hour of my day. I started to treat it like it was sacred. That was the only rule. For that first hour, the outside world could wait. And I gotta be honest, at first it felt so weird. It was uncomfortable. My thumb would literally twitch just reaching for my phone out of pure muscle memory. But I fought that urge. And in that empty space, I found room to actually start my day on my own terms for the first time. Now, protecting that hour is the foundation, right? But what do you actually do with that time? So I built a really simple 3-step framework. We're not talking extreme workouts or hour-long meditations, just 3 small, quiet actions to bring some clarity and control back. So let's get into what that actually looks like. Here it is, that's the whole thing. Find silence, move your body, and write 1 page. That's it. And it all starts with that first one, which is the most important, just removing all the noise. I'm being completely serious. This was step 1. After my alarm went off, instead of grabbing my phone, I would just sit on the edge of my bed. No fancy apps, no guided meditation. I just focused on my breathing. Slow in, slow out. And for the first time in I don't know how long, my mind wasn't being yanked in 100 different directions. It was just quiet. And that quiet is what creates clarity. And that's where the real power is. See, when your mind isn't just a cluttered mess of notifications and anxieties, you stop reacting to everything that happens to you. And instead, you start choosing how you want to show up. And that choice, that's where true intention comes from. The second step was all about movement. But again, we are not talking about some grueling, hour-long session at the gym. We're talking about 10 minutes. Just 10. Maybe some light stretching, a few bodyweight squats, a few push-ups, just enough to get the blood flowing and wake my body up. And the goal here was never about physical transformation. It was about a mental one. This tiny little act of movement, it sends a clear signal to your brain. It says, hey, we're awake, we're in control. It's a small win, but that victory creates this quiet momentum that just follows you for the rest of the day. You feel like an actor, not just someone being acted upon. So after the silence and after the movement, I added one last quiet habit, and I call it the 1-page rule. Every single morning, I'd open a simple notebook and I would write 1 page by hand. Not type it out, physically write it. And this is so important. The point was never to write some brilliant essay. Some days, I'd just write down what I was grateful for.
Other days, I just vent about my frustrations. The whole point was just to get the thoughts out of my head and onto the paper. Because when those thoughts are just swirling around in your mind, they feel so heavy. But once they're on paper, you can look at them. They become manageable. It felt like I was cleaning out a messy room before the day even began.
So you have those 3 steps: silence, movement, and writing. But there was this one kind of overarching principle, this one golden rule that held the whole thing together. And honestly, this is the idea that really changed who I was.
This right here, this one phrase changed everything. Let that sink in for a second. Create before you consume. It just means that before the world gets any of my attention, I give my attention to myself and my priorities first. Before I consume a single email or news story or social media post, I create something of value.
So after my 3-step routine, I would pick the one single most important thing that would make that day a win. And I'd work on that and only that before any distractions got in. And that habit, it didn't just rebuild my focus, it slowly rewired my sense of self from someone who just reacts to the world to someone who acts on it.
Now, look, I'm sharing my routine with you, not so you can copy it exactly, but so you can steal the structure. This is really all about designing a morning that serves you. So let's talk about how you can build your own version.
And please, if you take one thing away, let it be this. Most people don't fail because they're not trying hard enough. They fail because there's just too much unnecessary noise in their lives. The biggest changes for me didn't come from adding a bunch of complicated new habits. They came from getting rid of the ones that were destroying my peace and focus.
So here is the framework you can use. First, just protect that first block of time in the morning. Start with silence. That means no phone. Move your body for just a few minutes to build that momentum. Write 1 page to get that mental clarity. And finally, live by that rule. Create before you consume. The little details are all up to you, but that structure, it's powerful. And please, don't expect some huge explosion of motivation on day 1. It's not going to happen. The magic here has nothing to do with how intensely you do this. It's all about doing it consistently. It's the repetition, day in and day out, that eventually compounds into real change. And then one day you'll just wake up and realize, wow, my mornings feel different. My whole day feels lighter.
So if any of this connected with you, I want you to make a small commitment to yourself right now. Just drop a comment below that says, I own my morning. It seems like a simple little thing, but it's a powerful first step to declare that.
Because the change you're looking for, it doesn't start someday, or next week, or next month. It starts with one small intentional decision about how you're going to spend the first hour of tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and if you want more explainers like this one, make sure you subscribe. We're just getting started.